everyone's got a story.
True.
And no one's story is the same. And so I'm just trying to tell people stories and connect
You
some
know how I
people.
can tell a lie?
How?
I have a person tell me the same story 3 times. I keep telling them I forgot what it was. If it isn't the same story 3 times, he's lying. Because the story changes every time he tells it.
But I start at the beginning. Tell me about yourself. Where were you born and raised?
Heidelberg, Germany.
And tell me about who'd you grow up with?
My mother Maria and my father Kuno Helmut von Brunn.
And when you were a kid, what was home life like? What do you remember?
It was wonderful.
Tell me more.
2 beautiful parents. Lots of fun. I started in music. I got a little wooden flute. Then I got a little harmonica. And then Mama sent me to the puppet shows, you know, on the string. Well, when I got a little bigger, she got me season tickets for the operetta, light opera, then opera. I got piano lessons, but I screwed those up because I wanted to go out with my boyfriend. And so I never learned to read notes. But my teacher, an elderly man, came. Mom paid him, and he said I had piano hands. And I would go by sound and play. But since I took off and didn't take care of my lessons, I missed it. It's the sorriest thing I ever did.
Yeah.
It's too late.
Yeah. Wow. It's never too late.
Well, I got a little harp. I wanted to play a harp. But there's such big things. So I got myself a little portable harp, see? And at home, I tried to use my hands trying with that harp. I couldn't make it sound like much, though. I think it takes a special talent for that. But I love music. My Bose radio is on 24 hours a day. It's never shut off.
Oh, over there, you were telling me about when you remember the war.
Yeah.
And tell me about what you remember about, you know, when
I
the war was happening in Germany.
starting at 1939. My family was anti-Nazi, which was a detriment because you never know when they knocked on the door and said it's over and take you out. It's a one-way trip to the gas chamber. You don't come back. It's a strange feeling because you live in fear. We supported the Jews. As I told you, my mother's business was Abraham Rechtman. This man's parents were killed in Dachau in the gas chambers. I think that's why he was so abusive to my mother's children, to us. But if we had said anything in Germany, they would have taken us out of the home and imprisoned my mother. It cannot be done in Germany. It's not like here. It is against the law to abuse children.
Yep.
And you pay for that with your life. You cannot do this.
Now, did you know of other families that this happened to?
Actually, my son, I had a problem. He had very long blonde hair, very good-looking boy, and a skateboarder, rocker, you name it, you know, the drugs, everything was fine.
I like them already.
Anyway, Mark Anthony, my reason to live, I don't know whether I would want to live without him. That I don't know. However, these Mormon people came over and played chess with him. He's a chess expert. They were upstairs because I got Mark a new chess table, you know, so I could entertain the kids. He had a board where you throw steel darts, you know. He's very good at everything. 42 swimming lessons. He dove when he was 2 years old. He would come up in the swimming pool in the condo we lived. Help me, I'm drowning. All these people fly off their seats, and then he dives back down just to irritate them. I mean, this is the kind of stuff he did. So, but he was fun. I got home one day, there's a big black thing on my living room table. I said, Mark Anthony, where did that come from? Oh, Mom, it's cable. I said, cable? Who ordered this? You're 12 years old. Oh, Mom, don't worry about it. I got the cable guy high. He left it for me. Then I went over to the neighbor and hooked it up to their electricity so you don't have to pay for it. 1 month later, I get a call from the cable company. Mrs. Sandoval, you have our cable box. You owe us $400. This is going to go against your credit if you don't bring that box back.
Sounds like a character.
Oh, yeah.
Your son. Well, back to growing up, back to Germany. How long were you there?
I was there 28 years.
Okay, so you more or less grew up
Yes.
in Germany.
I totally grew up in the metric system, which made it extremely difficult for me to live here, because to this day I cannot measure in the American system.
And yeah, different culture, different everything.
Yeah.
Not non-American.
No. The eating is different. I had to get a book on how to eat here. I accidentally at Canlis went to the men's room instead of the ladies' room because they didn't say anything on there about a shoe.
A shoe?
A woman's, it's upstairs the bathroom at Canlis. And I walked into the men's room because it's got a woman's shoe and a men's shoe, but I didn't know which shoe was which shoe.
Right.
So my friend that took me to dinner there said, you just went to the men's room. I watched you do it. I said, yeah, I made a mistake.
Well, it's the same toilet, I would assume, in the men's room.
Yeah,
and
but
the
there were
women.
men in there.
Yeah, well,
I ran out and went in next door.
well, let's see. 28 years in Germany. What was going on in your teenage years? What you said that you had met somebody when you were 16.
Well, this was my second. That was my husband at 16.
Yes.
But I happened to run into a Italian man, Luigi Guy, when I was 14. He was one of our clients in the deli store.
And this is a store that your parents ran?
Well, my mother found out.
No, the deli store was your mom's deli store.
Yes, and he was on the next corner with Ice Cafe Venezia. He was from Valle di Cadore, Italy. Well, his wife had died, and he became my boyfriend. He was 42.
At 14? And you were 14? What do you think about that now, looking back on it?
Well, I look like 18.
Well, but you're still 14.
Oh, yeah.
That's
Well, my mother found out when he gave me an Omega gold watch over the counter. She said, what is this, Mr. Guy? He said, I got it for your daughter. She said, she cannot accept gifts like that. But my mother already knew something was cooking, you know, so.
Yikes. And, well, so this ended, and then you met your first husband.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about him.
He died, alcoholism.
Which guy? The Italian guy?
Luigi Guy.
Oh, the Luigi guy. Sounds like he was working through some hard stuff.
He could not face the death of his wife.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like.
He was working with his brother at the Ice Cafe Venezia. They made gelato, you know, baked cakes and stuff like that.
But then you met Pablo.
Yeah.
And he was who?
He became my husband.
And he was from Mexico.
Yeah, it took me 2 years. My mother went to my father and said, if you don't give Christa that marriage consent, she's going to kill herself. He said, go ahead, let her kill herself. She's not getting it. Well, he broke down and gave it to me.
Yeah, you're still here.
Yeah, on the that I will move away from Heidelberg
Move away.
with my husband.
Get out
oh
of
yeah,
Germany.
get out.
Oh, really? They wanted you out of Germany.
Well, yes, they wanted me out of Heidelberg because my father is not going to have the enemy being married to his daughter.
Tell me more.
Well, that's natural. You wouldn't want that either.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, my father was a very popular man.
Well, I guess what I'm asking is, at that time, he felt the pressure. There was still what was happening.
In the first place, you were not allowed to date any person of any other color,
Gotcha.
whether they're yellow, green, or purple.
I see.
It's not acceptable. And I understand it today. I did not at the time because I was in love with my husband and that's all I wanted. And I was going to do it no matter what. I told my mother I'll kill myself.
And you did it, and then you moved out of...
Oh yeah, I had to move
And
out.
where'd you guys go?
My mother would allow it, but my father wouldn't. There was no way I knew that. And I told her, I said, my father hates me. And she said, Christa, you don't understand your father because he loves you, but he doesn't know how to show it to you. That was the answer.
So you did get married,
Oh yeah.
and then you guys moved out of Germany?
Well, no, we stayed 3 more years until they gave us orders for Georgia. And when I found out about Georgia, I said, I am not leaving Germany. I don't want to go to Georgia. So the company commander changed the orders to a similarity of climate from Germany, and that was Fort Lewis, Washington.
And because your husband was in the service?
Yeah.
Gotcha. In
28 years.
Fort Lewis, Washington. Yeah?
Yeah, that's where we ended up.
Oh, gotcha. And let's see, so how long were you married to Pablo?
15 years. He was a very good man, but he was insanely jealous. And every month, if I looked at another man, he would hit me. I mean, he broke my nose. He swore to God he's never going to do it again. He would sit and cry and say he will never, never touch me again. By his mother's grave, I said, you're a fucking liar because your mother is still alive. She's not dead yet. I said, you know you're going to hit me again. No, I swear to God, I'll never do it again. Well, that would last 30 days, you know. And it happened again. We finally ended up, I paid this mafia lawyer in 5 Washington, Sam Alota, $5,000. I said, if I don't get a divorce, he's going to kill me. He came to the office to Mr. Alota, and he said, if she leaves me, I'm going to kill myself. My lawyer said, Sandoval, let me tell you something. The way I listen to your wife, you're going to end up in prison. She's going to end up dead. And if I don't give her that divorce, that's what's going to happen. And I'm going to shoot you myself if you come to my office one more time. I got the divorce finally 15 years later.
Wow.
Well, insane jealousy is not something you can cure. And I actually had no interest in any other men. I mean, you can't help it if you look at somebody, you know.
Right.
That doesn't mean you want anything.
That's right. If you don't act on it, it's very human.
No.
It's totally human.
But I also understood him because he had a common law wife prior. She was an alcoholic, drug addict. He lost his 3 children, 2 wonderful boys and a girl. They were almost my age.
Wow.
And the girl was an impossibility. She got kicked out of every orphanage. And she was extremely difficult. He brought her over, and he had to take her back to the orphanage. It's totally unsuitable. She started a fight with me. That's not your husband. That's my mother's husband. And the boys were there, you know, they didn't know what to do, so my husband locked her in a room and then took her back. There was no answer to it. She would have ruined our marriage. But, you know, there's nothing that's perfect in this world.
That's right.
And he was a wonderful provider. Any woman would be stupid to leave a man like that. When we went to New York, he bought me a New Yorker Chrysler. You should have seen it. It was steel gray. It had wings. One of the most beautiful cars you ever saw.
Yes.
Anything I wanted.
Which makes it even more confusing, right?
Yeah.
And this at the same time,
He'd go out and go to NCO club 3 days a month. He'd make $3,000 to $5,000 playing cards. He'd come home and laid it on the table and said, "Here, baby, go shopping." He didn't want the money. So, you know, there's good and bad.
Right, different parts to people, right?
But like I said, any woman that would leave a man like that would be a fool.
Well,
as a provider, you will never find a better man.
Right, but it's like he hits you. It's like you get out of there. I'm glad.
What caused this, who knows?
Yeah.
In his early age, see, he must have met this woman when she was 15, maybe. And they had 3 kids by the time he was 17 and went in the army.
Oh, wow.
So he lost all 3 kids. You know, this can be very heartbreaking feelings for a person. And this might have promoted this over intense jealousy.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Who knows?
I don't.
But the point is, you got out of that marriage and then moved on to where?
Well, I married the second gentleman, a male model from California.
Oh, wow.
The head of a corporation. He was temporarily in the army. My sister had a saying, Clara, the night, I don't know if I should say this on here, the night you met that son of a bitch, I could have told you that he was gay or bisexual. So I said to her, why didn't you tell me that? Well, you were in love with him. You would have married him and got mad at me.
Yeah, wouldn't have mattered.
So I found out for myself he wasn't going to college. My maid told me he's living with another man. So I packed my things and took my child and left.
It didn't last very long.
12 months.
And this is who you had your son with?
No.
No, you had your son with Pablo?
He's not my son. I was divorced when I had Mark.
Okay.
Pablo is his stepfather.
Gotcha.
By name.
Gotcha.
The man that is his real father is Lee Manuel. He's a multi-millionaire from Los Angeles. He did not pay child support. He put my child in a private school. He wouldn't give me the money for the school, and I had to take my kid out. He said other kids go to public school too. I said, Mr. Manuel, you will never see your child. You will never talk to him in all your life. And that stupid mother of yours that said I was not socially acceptable, you can tell I would go drop dead. His father came, Mr. Manuel's father, came and stayed with us for 2 weeks. He wanted to see his grandson. He made an attempt towards my sister. That was not very smart. My sister said she would mop the floor with his face. However, he had cancer and sugar diabetes, a very sick man, injections all the time. He suffered. He saw his grandson. 1 year later, he took a rifle and shot himself and committed suicide. It was a very sad ending, you know, but there's nothing I can do.
Right. And so that's tragic. That's
yeah,
rough.
well, that comes with life.
Yeah, there are tragedies in life. This is true.
And I made sure that he was never able to see my son again.
Yeah, so you held to your word.
He enrolled him in that private school. and I didn't have the money to pay for it.
Yeah.
And with the answer he gave me, I said, this is the ending of it all.
Well, let's see. So, moving forward, that marriage ended after 12 months. You have your son. Where did you guys end up?
I married this other guy. This is my security blanket. This is a retired Major Air Force. Was let go from the Air Force for alcoholism, rehired by Boeing on a desk job. Well, I woke up in Hawaii, right? And apparently we were both drinking. I looked next to me, I said, who the hell are you? Well, you don't remember, you married me. I said, call the waiter, I need a double Manhattan. I don't think I did this, did I? Wait a minute, let me think. Yeah, I did. I said, oh my God, now what? Another 12 months. I gave him my condo, I gave him everything in it, I moved out. He wasn't moving. He introduced me to his ex-wife in Bellevue. His son had failed a driving test 5 times. He had 2 cars. I take that boy to the driving test, right? He passed the test. I come back home. I said, where's your father? They're both drunk. He's fucking my mother in the bedroom. I said, excuse me. I knocked on the door. I said, Leo, it's time to go home. The next morning, I left him. That was another 12 months. I haven't divorced any of these guys because I'm not paying for no divorce.
Well, you said you hired a lawyer for the first guy, right?
Yeah, but I had to get that divorce.
Right.
Because that would have been my end eventually.
No.
But these other 2, that's not working. I cannot be with someone that drinks all day, and I cannot be with someone that has a sexual relationship with another man. I mean, I'm raising a kid.
Yeah.
You know, my mate told me, Miss Edna, she's a black woman that raised my boy. And she said, Miss West, he's not going to the university. He's living with another man. And I'm over there trying to pass the LA State Board with that stupid mother-in-law of mine that I hate. And here's my husband sleeping with another guy. You know, this kind of stuff doesn't work with me.
Yeah.
I actually can't tolerate it. I'm afraid. My personality can be very destructive. And I'm afraid of what I would do.
Gotcha.
You know, I probably would get mad and take a pill of cyanide and put it in his food and poison the guy, and then I'm guilty.
Yes, you would.
No, I need to get away from that.
Yeah.
Take my distance, stay for myself.
Yeah, you made a wise decision to remove yourself from the situation.
There was no other way because I know that I would harm that person.
Yeah. Good move.
I know myself too well.
We were talking earlier, and you said you've been sober, clean and sober for 32 years.
Oh, yeah.
So tell me about
Probably
that.
35 by now.
Tell me about that transition. What made you stop? And what were you doing, and what made you stop?
What made me stop is, you know, stupid stuff. I had a glass door in my apartment in one of my patios, and I was going to do laundry, right? But apparently I got so drunk the day before, I ran into the goddamn door and got 2 black eyes. My customers, they're joking. Oh, who hit you last night? Where did you go? I said, I ran into the glass door. Oh, yeah, sure, You know, this kind of stuff. I said, I got to do something because something is not adding up right.
And would you say you were an alcoholic?
Oh, of course, but I would never commit to that.
Sure. Denial's a strong thing.
No, the life I was living, I felt was making me happy.
Ah, I see.
And but my answers weren't adding up. I had a $45,000 balloon payment coming up on my house in Gig Harbor. I lost the property, tenants were on it, and that payment was going to pay for the house. Well, one night I got really loaded. I thought, well, I'll rob a bank. I'll just pay it. I saw that movie Bonnie and Clyde. See, I shouldn't have seen that too many times. And I said, wait a minute. This ended up in debt. I better not do that.
But that's the way you were thinking.
Oh, yeah. What is the answer to the problem?
This will make sense to me. Robbing a bank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll pay for the house.
That's pretty insane, right? Yeah.
Other than that, I got to move. Where to?
Yeah.
With that little boy. And my husband in Vietnam. You know, I drove myself to the hospital 35 minutes before I gave birth. All the way from Lakewood down to Tacoma Channel. The head was already stuck. He was coming out. I didn't know what was going on.
Wow.
The doctor said it'd be 2 more days.
Right.
That night he came.
Wow. But so that's why you stopped drinking. You were just doing these things. You weren't.
It wasn't adding up. My life was not adding up under the influence of alcohol.
Right. And so for you,
it gave me thoughts that were criminal.
Right.
Survival.
Yeah.
That wasn't really survival. That would have got me in big trouble, see?
That's right.
I mean, I can't take a gun and shoot somebody because I need money.
No. Not a good idea.
So I sold dope.
Oh. You switched a little bit?
Oh, yeah.
How did you get into that?
Easy. I made $500 a night, one drop off.
That does just, but you had to learn that. That doesn't happen overnight, right?
No, it didn't happen overnight.
So are you open to talking about?
I had a lot of friends.
Okay. And they taught you, this is what you do and how you do it, etc.
Well, I pretty well knew the business, too.
So you quit alcohol.
Yeah.
But did you start doing
Drugs.
drugs?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Well, that was an easier way. And it was profitable.
And how long did that?
5 years.
5 years.
Yeah, all these things come to an end, you know.
Yeah,
time clock.
Everything does, right? Everything does. We were talking over there about life is short.
But it was a lot of fun.
until it's not.
I love shooting pool, you know. I'm a good pool shot.
Yeah.
But I can't go to the taverns anymore because then I'm going to start drinking again.
Right.
So I don't shoot pool no more.
Yeah. Why set some boundaries for yourself?
The Moon Tavern in university was my hangout.
The Blue Moon Tavern.
I broke my first hip replacement. I was so drunk and so high I fell against that big garbage can and broke my first hip. I didn't feel it till the next day.
Christa, careful. Wow.
Well, no, we had a lot of fun. That was fine.
Well, okay, after 5 years, you stopped. Why?
Pretty much everything.
Gotcha.
But then you have to find other ways. I mean, I talked to a couple psychiatrists, you know, and they said putting an end to your life, 3 attempts, is not going to do it. You can't kill yourself with a razor blade. That doesn't work. Sleeping pills didn't work. Stop eating didn't work. So it finally came to the point you have to quit.
Well, what would you say Would you
But,
say
you know,
you're...
I learned to listen to music, write journals, take interest in art, nature.
And that helped you?
That got me over that.
Because it's like a lot of people do legal and illegal drugs to cope with their pain and their suffering and their trauma. And would you say that was in there somewhere for you? Or
I didn't have any pain. I just want to be high.
Fair enough.
And I had a lot of fun. So, you know, as I told you, I would do the identical thing over again.
Right, no regrets. Right.
No regrets.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about your current situation. You were living in an apartment
5 years.
For 5 years. In what part of town? Capital
Rainier South.
Oh, that's right. Rainier South.
Prior to that, I lived 7 years at the Pike Street Market, at the Vincent House.
And then you said recently you just got evicted?
Yeah, I did, because there was a routing mistake done in the bank, which the bank was responsible to pay the rent for 1 year. Charles Schwab is my bank. And TD Ameritrade was my former bank that was sold out April 1st to Charles Schwab. They're both owned by Chinese. Now, the routing mistake was such that they got my check and they sent it back to Social Security because of a routing number mistake. As a result, the rent was not paid, which I knew nothing of. And I found it out April, May. In June,
last
that
month.
the rent was not paid.
Just last month, yeah.
And that's when I got the eviction notice.
And where did you go?
Nowhere.
You stayed
Hotels, motels, friends.
So you kind of couch surfed around.
Yeah.
But last night you said, where'd you sleep last night?
Oh, I actually didn't sleep. I was up at QFC, my favorite store on Broadway. And I talked to a lot of my customers that I used to have. And I took the bus.
You just stayed up all night?
Yeah. I stay up many nights.
Oh.
I only sleep every 2 and 3 days.
Really?
Bipolar people have no normal schedule of sleeping.
Gotcha.
You sleep when you're tired. And when you're not tired, you need to stay active. If I slept 8 hours a night, I would be totally dysfunctional. I can't sleep like that.
Well, where are you staying tonight, Christa?
Well, that's indefinite. I might stay with a friend in the market, or I will go to Angela in University District and stay in their living room. I stay with Optima the cat and Luna the dog.
Gotcha. But
I love animals.
I'm
really not very good with people. But I love animals. I can put my hand in front of a pit bull and he'll kiss it.
Oh.
Never bite me.
Nice.
Animals have much more of a sense than human beings do. I took 2 dog training courses in prison. I trained golden retrievers for the blind, the disabled, and police dogs.
Yeah, earlier you were saying you spent a decade in prison?
9.5 years.
Yeah, pretty close. And learned, what did you say? Blueprints? What were you saying?
Oh, I took technical engineering because that was, you know, my father's field. And he always wanted me to get into that. But it was so complicated that actually for a woman it's very hard to understand. But I can do blueprints quite well. And Dad always, when I had to stay with him, I had to stay there and do all this technical stuff. He had me standing on that table day and night. I hated every minute of it. He wanted a boy, but the boy between my sister and I died at birth.
Oh, wow.
And that was my father's biggest disappointment. Because my mother could only have girls and girls and girls. But you can't change these things. You know, the boy died. so he wasn't too happy to have nothing but those girls. But, you know, my parents, they were good parents, so yeah. They did everything they could for their kids. Yeah. You could do no wrong. Yeah.
Well, it's good to hear your story. I got one last question, Christa. Is there anything that you'd want to say to the people of Seattle?
What I would say is that you must help your children. You cannot throw them out and expect them to amount to something. It's an impossibility. Without education, you cannot win. Today's life is complicated. We're facing a digital crypto system that senior citizens will not be able to do because most people don't have the intelligence to use the system. All our young people are familiar with it. They have training in these fields. They can wire anything. You need to give them a chance. Throwing them on the street where they have no baths, no food, nothing but drugs and alcohol is not an answer to living. That's an answer to death. And the sooner that people unite and help each other, the sooner the country will come up. If this doesn't happen, I think we're all going down. The federal government is broke already due to misleading of the government. Wages must increase, unions must be provided. Otherwise, I don't think America stands a chance.
Yeah, I can hear brings up some emotion in you.
To an extent, yeah.
What is it? Sadness? Fear?
Not really. I don't have fear.
What is it you're feeling?
I mean, you know, if you go against me, I can take a machete and kill you. In self-defense, whoever shoots first is going to win, right?
Sure. But talking about this brings up something.
It's a form of sadness. No, it's not sadness, it's disappointment. The American living standard has gone to pot. And something has to be done. What it is, I have no answers. I'm not politically inclined whatsoever.
Yeah, we were talking about how complex it is. The complexity. It's just so complex.
But the complexity is what we created. No one else did it for us.
Right.
We're the ones that did it. And we're the ones that are going to face the answer. Yep. At this point, as much education as I've had in my life, cannot figure out an answer. You know, when I cannot get up, some days are that way. I don't admit it to no one. I tell them I feel wonderful. I lie like that because I will not give in. I pray to God and I said, this time I'm not going to make it. And if you don't help me, no one else will. And the next day, I'm usually up again. And I write my journal and I forget all that happened the day before. And most people know when they ask me, how are you? I say, wonderful, I couldn't be any better. See, the problem is if you say there's something wrong, they will lay into you a complete history of their trouble. By the time they get done with you, you don't know whether you're coming or gone. I mean, the only way to get away from them is by telling them you feel wonderful. That makes them miserable that you're feeling so good. So they depart. I have one answer and I can't get rid of mine. I says, let me go take a piss.
Wait,
the minute they hear that,
Christa, you're telling me that You tell people that you're doing wonderful to avoid them?
Yeah, it works. You should see Americans, how ignorant they are. I am standing down there on First Avenue. Next to my apartment is an Italian gelato place, right? Now, I got a cigarette in one hand and a lighter in another hand. Now, there's only 2 tables, and these people are sitting there bullshitting, and they won't leave so I can sit down, see? And my dog Marco Polo is with me, and he's already getting nervous. The minute they see this cigarette and the lighter, it hasn't been lit yet. So then I stand there and I light it and I blow the smoke right over there. In 5 seconds I got the table, they disappeared.
I believe it.
But you see how hallucinatory that is?
Yeah, yeah. Perception.
There was no smoke.
Perception is everything. It's good to hear your voice. Thank you for telling your story. I appreciate it.
You got to hear the rest. I got this guy.
Okay, keep going.
At the ATM machine downstairs where I live, right? They robbed the bank, it's gone, but he's on the machine. Now, I won $20 for my cigarettes and my coffee, right? Next door to Bella's, the store. I can't get to the machine because that idiot is over there putting one card into another card in a 3-piece suit. And I'm sitting in my chair and I'm looking at him. Oh, I could kill him. I went over there. I said, say, can I borrow $100,000 so I want to play the stock market? That guy flew into his car. I got the machine.
He left.
I've never seen a guy run so fast in his life. I think he thought I was going to rob him.
In your wheelchair like this? Thank you.
I've never seen that guy again.
Yeah.
I got my $20.
Oh, good.